Okay, welcome back to PDX Biz Talk. You know what it is, the Portland business podcast. My name is Zeke Jones, also Young Mill. You may know me as that as well, and the owner of Aeon Visual. And of course, I'm not alone. Am I ever really alone?
Never.
Man? Of course, I got my boy Johnny with me, man.
What's up, man? Bright and early today.
Yeah, man.
First early podcast we've done. And it feels kind of nice, actually.
I know.
Getting up early, not tired.
Right. Doing something other than working.
I know, right?
At this time
Working
is
at the
pretty
shop.
nice. But of course, man, this one it's not about us. This podcast, of course, we always have a special guest, but bro, we got a legend in the house today, bro.
No.
We got a Portland legend, of course, man. Today we got with us, we have Marcus from the Portland Gear, man.
Appreciate
Make
it.
some noise.
Yeah. Thank you.
How you doing,
Big
man?
audience in
right?
here. We got a bunch of people here.
We'll edit
right?
the sound in.
Yeah,
Of course,
there's some clapping. That's
For
great.
sure, man. We really do. We appreciate you having you on this podcast. It's pretty much an honor for us. We've been trying to get you for a minute. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
bro.
we even said when we first started this podcast, I said I want to get Marcus from
Well, I
Portland.
remember getting the first email. I think it was just wrong
It was a cold
timing.
email, too.
I think it was like something. And I
Filter,
remember like, I got to get back to these guys. And then I think I saw the Cam one pop up. And then I was like, I got to get back to it. And so then now we're here a week later.
Now
And
we're
it's
here.
great.
And it was a cold email, too. I just emailed you out of nowhere,
Yeah.
out the blue.
I
It
see
works.
him. I see
It was
him.
fast, too.
That's what's up.
Within a few hours, you replied.
I see him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I commend you guys. Starting a business is no joke. You guys have already done that, but now you're doing it again with this. Is awesome. So
Yeah, it's different.
my honor to be here with you guys.
I
That's what's up,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you, Brand. So like we're gonna start with we're gonna talk about, of course, Portland brand or Portland Gear, the brand, and tell the people a little bit about yourself. But we also want to make sure we provide that value for the people
Sure.
at home watching, because there might be another young entrepreneur that could spark something from this knowledge that we about to kick today.
All for it. All for it. I love it.
Yeah, man. So with Portland Gear, what is Portland Gear? And kind of like take us back to a little bit of the beginning of it.
Yeah, what is it? In essence, it's an apparel brand, but it's much more than that. To me, it's the symbolism of the city. It's my way of sharing and wearing my Portland pride. It's my way of bringing people together. It's my way of having an emblem that represents people and place and community and all the things. So I went to University of Oregon, graduated, started screen printing in the dorms, had a little skate surf brand, even though I'd never skated or surfed before. So there's a deep lesson we could talk about in that too. Don't start something that's not authentic to you.
Yeah.
But I remember, getting a buddy to design something for me. So to start, I should rewind. I'm not an artist. I was not raised with sketchbooks and drawing things, and I did not go to school for art. I never considered myself an artist until I started taking some intro to digital arts classes in college, because I had found a love for screen printing. So I started this little brand called Updrift, and it was in the dorms, and I'm walking through the halls, and Facebook was big at the time, so I'm like selling teas on Facebook, and I'm like walking around with printed things and like writing down my neighbor's $20 t-shirt, size large, their name on a graph piece of paper, and like calling the screen
days.
printer and being like, Johnny, I need 24 shirts, and getting little 2-color shirts, and then started to build a brand. So started to say, well, got to do photos. So what does that look like? And I just started learning stuff. And so then I got into digital arts program, and then that's where I actually started like taking graphic design classes and realizing that I could express myself in a way that I didn't realize I could before.
Yeah.
But for me, art has always been an intersection of business and art. So I had some kids in my class who were super fucking good at art, and I was always jealous of them, and they were amazing. Those dudes are still just making stickers in a basement right now, but I was mediocre at art, but I always applied every one of the projects that I was working on to something that was real life, or to something business related, or to something I could make money on or something. So art was always just a means of me getting to that. So got a job at a couple screen printing companies in Eugene during my senior year, graduated. Then I got a job at a screen printing company in Eugene afterwards, and I was doing inside and outside sales, and I hated it.
Yeah.
It was like I went from getting to be creative and have my own brand to now I'm sitting in, West Eugene, rainy, calling people if they want screen printing.
Not enjoying it.
I hated it, and I would try to bring in athletes and try to make it cool and try to make it unique, and like there was 11 people at the company, and they just like didn't like my youthfulness, and they called me disruptive. And so it was like a Tuesday afternoon. I remember it vividly. 4:30, the owner walks in, this older gentleman, goes to the printer, turns around, hands me a check. He's like, all right, we're going to let you go.
Damn.
And I got fired like 2.5 months into my first job.
Jeez.
And I was super embarrassing because I just got this job. I just told my parents I got a job. I'm college educated. I just signed an apartment.
It felt like it made sense for what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, but I didn't like it the whole time. And so I'm sure I was rubbing off on them that I wasn't engaged and interested in it.
Right.
But I remember being pissed. And I remember being like, man, fuck that. And I got in the car, and my sister was the first person I called. She was here in town, and I said, all right, okay, I got fired. Don't tell mom and dad yet. I'm going to figure out my story.
Right.
I said, can I live with you? She said, yes. And then I called a bunch of old Nike mentors I had, and I worked at the employee store in high school and college. And so and I was just like, man, I got fired. Like, aren't you mad for me? And they're like, no. They're like, go do something. Yeah. Like, go be somebody. Go. And I was like, what does that mean? Hang up and call someone else. I'm like, man, I just got fired. And they're like, good. Like, what do you mean good? And they're like, go do something. Go make something of yourself. And so that, in hindsight, was one of the most critical moments of my life, was getting fired. And so I came back here, moved in with my sister, and I said, I'm never going to work for anyone again. Mm-hmm. I never want that feeling of someone turning around and giving me a last check. I never want to get fired. I don't like feeling disappointed. So I just started hustling, started screen printing, just doing the things that I knew, simple graphic design, screen printing, bought a press, put it in my parents' garage, messed up a bunch of carpet, dripping emulsion from upstairs, started doing graphic design, started hosting parties around town, started meeting people, pretending like I was someone. We were trying to sit at Portland Fashion Week on the front row, for no reason. We were just trying, and it was with my buddy Wookie, and got our first little office and start flipping screen printing and start meeting some athletes and start making some custom clothes for like Wesley Matthews and some of the Blazer guys, and met this rookie named CJ McCollum. And so that was called Creative 35. That was kind of like my first endeavor. And then 2013 or so, people started wanting to work with Wookie and I because they wanted shirts that said printed in Portland. Mm-hmm. So you would want PdxBizTalk on the front, but you just wanted your tags to say printed in Portland. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like, why is that a big deal for people? Right. And this is like prime Portlandia days, and Portland's kind of trendy and cool. Of course. And so I secured @Portland on Instagram. And I was like, look,
player move right there.
Yeah. And so but there's a whole story with that. I had to pay the dude $1,000. I didn't have $1,000. I pretty much spent every dollar I had to get a username. Man. There's no official way of transferring them. So I Zoomed him at I Skyped this dude at 5 a.m. because I didn't want other people to take it. And he had to change his username, and I had to press send at the exact same time. So I could have been out all my money if he scammed me or something. And I remember it went green. I had it. And it was just the floodgates were open. I start posting pictures of Portland, and 20, 30, 40, 50,000 followers, 60, 80, 100,000. And that's kind of when things changed. So I wanted to build that page my goal was just people were wanting stuff that was printed in Portland. I was like, well, maybe I could build a community of people that like Portland. Mm-hmm. And Instagram was getting bigger at the time. So that was a huge inflection point. So that was kind of when all my worlds collided in 2014, whereas I had this big Instagram page that at the time had 60,000 followers. Now we've got 400,000. Yeah. I had a background in screen printing, graphic design. I had a love for Portland, and then we didn't have a baseball team, so there wasn't a logo for the city. Everyone rocks the Dodgers hat, everyone rocks the Yankees hats. We didn't have that. Yeah. And I loved Blazers, Timbers, Thorns, but they're not simple logos, and you're not gonna rock a Timbers hat out to two wrongs, And so I just wanted a simple logo that I could wear. So it really just started with I wanted to make something for myself. Right. Did a couple pictures with it, printed 2 T-shirts, named it Portland Gear. Didn't expect much. Posted 1 picture on that Portland page, and the first day did $5,000 in sales. Out of there. That's amazing. And I didn't have that many shirts. I had 20 shirts because I just if it doesn't work, I'll give them to you guys. Then it's then I needed 100 shirts, so I called my screen printer. Hey, I needed more shirts, and then I was like, I've never actually shipped shirts before, and they're like, we can do all your fulfillment. So I was like, great. So then I just instantly had them doing all my fulfillment and ordering, so I could just go focus on building brand. So I would go do Saturday markets, and then I bought a Volkswagen and would do pop-ups, and then would do collaborations. And I just got to fully commit to product, brand, storytelling, social media, and then I kind of had these guys as the back end doing all the fulfillment. And then as we opened this store pretty quickly, and we've been in here for 8 years now, and then we got an office, and now we're at 20 employees and shipped to every state and 80 countries, and I know every Blazer, Timbers, Thorn player, and done some awesome stuff around town. So it's been an awesome 8 years. I can't believe we're approaching 10, which is crazy. That's a blessing. So it is. And so we're starting to plan some fun stuff for year 10. But yeah, I couldn't do it without a great team. We've got people that have been with me since the very beginning, which is amazing to have best friends and people you trust running things with you, and making it through the pandemic. I remember someone in the early days, very early in the pandemic, when no one knew what it was going to be, and then it was 6 months in, and people were, businesses are caving and falling and all this stuff, and someone said, the businesses that will make this through, make through whatever this is, will just have a higher consumer confidence. Yeah. I was like, what is that? And I feel it now. You know, like we pushed through, like we stayed relevant when everything was falling. Not only that, we had 2 years of Portland being on fire and everyone hating living here, and just like
crazy.
Trump, it was terrible here for a while. And it's like we stayed a constant good story. We never stooped down and talked about the bad things. Like we always stayed constant, positive all the time. Social media positive every day, working with collaborators, brands. Even when people are rioting, we're not posting that. We're talking about OHSU and we're doing fun stuff. And it's like, I think we've come out of that now, and it's like, I mean, there's nothing in town we can't do. There's no one in town we can't get in contact with. I mean, we're just like something every week. We launch something cool. We got a pride collection with the Winterhawks. We designed their whole uniform, their logo last year. We're doing a jersey with them. We've got stuff every week, cadenced out. So we are just the most relevant because we push and we stay relevant and we keep collaborating.
You're just not some store here just selling clothes. Yeah, it's way different.
Putting in work.
More than that. It's deeper than that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Licensing, we just got Portland State, UP, so that's a great way of like grounding us with the locals and having, we have Oregon State licensing, we'll get University of Oregon licensing, so that's kind of a way of solidifying us as a bigger brand that not everyone can do, is collegiate licensing, and done stuff with Blazers, Timbers, Thorns officially, we've done all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
That's crazy. So let's kind of talk about branding a little bit.
Sure.
So when it comes to Portland gear, like, what kind of line of thinking went into like designing the logo for Portland gear? Because it's almost like you're the face or the brand of Portland. So that's kind of like a big responsibility in a way, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it started again with, I wanted something to wear that was simple. There's a lot of reasons it's one color. That's screen printing, it's easier. Design, it's easier. Embroidery, it's easier. So I kind of started with that. I also had this black hat that was just it was a lot like this hat. How I made that hat was, it was this felt hat that I found at like a vintage shop that was just an outline. It was a piece. This was before Portland gear.
Yeah.
And I wore it for like a year, and it was basically like my Portland hat. So that was kind of what started it, was I just had this simple vintage hat that had a P on it. And then when I went to design it, I kind of knew I wanted it to be simple and athletic, and if I could have it sit next to my Nike swoosh and the Oregon O, my favorite logo, so it was one color. And then I was playing with the state of Oregon, and Wookie suggested it could be in the inside, and it was like perfectly made a square, and then we played with that a bunch. And to be honest with you, I didn't love it when I started. It's kind of funny now. Now it's like the most important thing in my entire life.
Yeah.
But in those first few days, I was like, it's cool. And I sent it to a design friend of mine who I'd had for a long time, and I was like, hey man, I'm working on this thing. Here's a rough draft. I don't really know if I like it. Like, can you make it better?
Yep.
And like after a week, he sent it back. He's like, no. He's like, that's pretty dope.
Fire.
And I was like, whatever. Yeah. And then I sent it to my screen printer to get my shirts printed for the first time. We've done a lot of stuff through Oregon Screen Impressions, who's been here since the 80s. And I sent it there to a lady that I'd known. And I just said, hey, I want to get like 20 of these made. I'm working on this little thing. And she called me right away. She's like, hey, I've been here for 20 years. I can't believe I've never seen something like this.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. But like that was just like 2 votes of confidence right off the bat, where like one dude looked at it, great graphic designer, he's like, I wouldn't change anything. And then a lady who's seen every t-shirt in this town for 20 years, she's like, I can't believe I haven't seen this. Yeah. It was like, oh, cool. I still had never sold a shirt, so it didn't register to me. I hadn't even worn it yet or anything. And so then once it came out, like the rest is history. But it was, simple, one color. I knew it was going to be on hats, so I needed to look good on hats. Like putting the state of Oregon was just like became quickly iconic with it, and it's this thing that still a lot of people don't even know, which is awesome. Is like people have worn this stuff for years. They come in and shop, and it's like they've never even realized the state of Oregon's.
They look at it up
they maybe
close,
just think it's wrong or something. Yeah, and then they see it, and it's just like this extra level of like, oh, that's so dope. And so it's Portland, Oregon, it's Portland gear. It's like it's just symbolic of those things. So, and again, this doesn't even happen if we have a baseball team, probably.
Yeah.
Like I go back and it's like I trace it back to like I had to wear that black hat because there wasn't a Portland Pines hat that was the hat that everyone wore that was symbolic for, a 5950 fitted that everyone rocks because it's our baseball team.
Exactly.
So if we have that, there's no Portland gear. So this filled that void in the early days where it was like, I think it quickly worked because people just saw it and they got it. And then they were like, yeah, there's nothing else like that. Like I get it. And then we always have just focused on having kind of like alt colors and things, and sometimes we call it like girlfriend gear, where the boyfriend wants the Timbers jersey and the scarf, but the girlfriend's like, I'm never gonna wear that, but I'll wear a cute olive pea hat, right. So like I'm not gonna wear a Blazers snapback, but I'll rock a black dad hat, and so it's like we've just finessed kind of into that super unisex, like sometimes trendy, but just lifestyle, simple stuff.
And then everybody,
and we'll come out with some stuff that's definitely crazier, but you have to do that sometimes. And then, but like core stuff is general core colorways and simple stuff and good quality and printed local and, And
when you first started the company, did you make an LLC before you even? So you made an LLC first, and then you started making the stuff, and then that's when you get your first.
Yeah. So I did Portland Gear LLC. Spent the $50, register that with the state, opened a bank account.
And that's important. People that are watching, you gotta get an LLC. Even if the name doesn't stick, just at least make the LLC. Get yourself safe.
It's just I own several other businesses. I started another LLC last week for other things. It's just a protective thing.
Exactly, yeah.
It's an accounting thing to actually have a bank. I have bank accounts for every different thing so that you're not mixing things, because it gets really hard when you're taking, your $3,000 in savings and then you're buying $500 worth of hats, but that's really a business expense, but you're not expensing it because you don't have it set up to QuickBooks, and then you're not getting the tax. So it's like everything I do now, I set up the LLC first. I call my banker. I get a bank account set up. I start a QuickBooks for it. I put whatever starting money in it, and I start keeping track of things from the beginning. I've always been very clerical in that stuff. I'm pretty OCD about our numbers and inventory levels, and I've done the QuickBooks every day for 8 years. That's something that like I know every penny. I could tell you every penny of everything that's ever happened in Portland Gear. And a lot of owners don't do that, and so that's why I think we've been successful, is that I just have that oversight of things.
Exactly.
And I to rewind, I balance business and art. I'm not, like, there's dudes who have apparel brands that are phenomenally artistic, and probably Virgil, who probably never knew one thing about the business side or numbers or margins. He was just so focused on creating, and those people are super important. Right. But when you're a small business, you've got to be both of those, and it's like you can quickly just become a shit ton of inventory that doesn't sell if you're not keeping track of it, and you can become a business that doesn't do your taxes and you get audited. Like, there's two sides to it, so it's better just to set it up.
Yeah, so I'm curious for somebody who has like a clothing brand at home and they're trying to like get things off the ground. When do you think is a good time to kind of build a team around it? When do you think that's like realistic? Yeah,
and I guess to contradict my own point right there, if you're just flipping some T-shirts at home, maybe you don't need a full LLC. And I get kids all the time, they're like, I want to trademark Roadhouse T-shirt company. I'm like, it's $7,000. Should I do that? I'm like, no. Go make $7,000 first. Like, go see if it works first. Be profitable. Then you have time to do a trademark. Like, you don't have to do that right off the bat. And so I think, like, and frankly, half the time people's names are super lame. So like, don't waste the money doing it. Wait till people like it. Do it. Like, I didn't trademark Portland Gear right away. Like, I didn't have any money to do it. So I sold stuff, and then I got it. I was like, oh shit, I'm onto something. Now I should probably protect this. Then I call an attorney friend who he helped me do it for cheaper, and I at least got something registered. And so it's like, don't start it right away. So if you've got like, hey, I've got this slogan and I want to make 10 T-shirts and sell them to some friends, you don't need an LLC to start. You don't need a bank account. But if you start getting some traction, and if you're like, hey, I'm going to start ordering 100 shirts, or I want to start keeping track of things, maybe that's your moment to go ahead and like get a bank account, make it official. If you start getting profitable, then it's your time to go get a trademark and do your IP. IP stands for intellectual property. And then the team just grows organically. The team should only grow when the business can support it, in my opinion. You can go raise a bunch of money, maybe. Not a lot of apparel brands can, but business in general, you can go raise a bunch of money, and then it's called burn rate, which is how much money we're burning every month to support our team. So if I had some idea and I was like, I want to sell amazing plants, I'm going to go raise $500,000, and I'm going to build a team of 10, and our monthly payroll is $50,000. We're not selling anything yet, but I got to have this dream team. And every month you're spending $50,000 before you've even made money. You're just burning stuff. I did it the opposite. I started myself just hustling. Go to events. Hey, buddy, can you come work an event with me? Hey, friend, can you come help me with this? Great. Then we finally selling enough and I'm too busy. So that's when you can start to parse things off to someone else. So then that's when it was Eli, who was my best friend and roommate. It was like, hey, can you start doing this stuff? And here's how much I can pay you. Great. Then Eli takes that, and with an employee comes an expectation of growth. So great. Now there's two of us. Now we need to sell more. It's not we're selling $1,000. You add someone, and now we keep selling $1,000. It's if we're multiplying now, we got to get to $2,000. And now there's too much work, and we're selling too much stuff for two of us. Now let's go hire another person. What do you need to get off your plate? Oh, I'm spending too much time on this. Great. Now this person does this. But everybody that should get added to the team should have a different skill set, different experience. And that should always be in rising the tides together.
And different tasks to do every day.
Yeah.
Yes, I should. Yeah.
When you said you were doing stuff with the Winterhawks, doing stuff with all these sports, like, who was the first like sport that you did anything with, like collab-wise and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of the early Blazer athletes. Gotcha. So those guys.
And how did it even come about? Did you just reach out to them? Did you reach out to you? Or
no, what? So when Wookie and I were doing Creative 35, which was just like our wholesale apparel, like designing for other brands. Right. We were down in Old Town, and we were above, basically where Deadstock is now. We had a little 1,500 square foot office up there that we were just hustling every month. We weren't making any money, but we paid enough to make rent, and it made us look official to have a spot, and that was really important for me because we started working in like a shared space in Southeast, and then we moved over to there and got our own office. And so, I was 23, 24, living in low-income housing, going to every event possible, meeting people. And we just met this lady who happened to be an event coordinator for Darrell Wright, who played for the Blazers. And she said he was doing a little fundraiser at Deschutes in the Pearl. It was going to be a poutine eating contest, which is like cheese curd fries. Super random. And she's like, yeah, you guys should come. And all I heard was Blazer event, I'm invited.
I'm in there.
Yeah, I'm going there.
And so I go, and it was, Wookie and I get all excited, and we thought it would be this 5,000 person event, and it was like Darrell Wright, T-Rob, Wesley Matthews, and then this rookie with the broken foot, CJ McCollum.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so it was pretty intimate then.
And we walk in, and there was like 10 people there.
Damn.
Wow.
And then these 4 guys are sitting there like eating cheese curd fries. I think they were just watching Sports Center, and they were just like there to support Darrell. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go talk to him. I was like, I've got nothing to lose. And Wookie and I are doing custom apparel and stuff. I was like, maybe I could. So I go up and introduce myself. I gave him a business card. And I was like, what up, Wesley? My name's Marcus. Like, Wookie and I do apparel. Wookie's super shy, dude. You can meet him later. But he that's me to go do that. And so I met Wesley, introduced myself, met CJ. He was a rookie. We exchanged numbers. And I was like, welcome to Portland. If there's anything I could ever show you or something. Met the other guys. And then I was like, look, we do custom apparel. If you ever want anything, we'd love to make some clothes for you. Then 2.5 weeks later, I get a random call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon from a Wisconsin phone number. And Wesley Matthews was like, hey, I'm outside. And I look out front, we're in Old Town, literally above Index. And I look outside, and there's this blacked out Range Rover, and Wookie and I are in the office, just him and I just sitting there. And it's like, I was like, fuck, he came. I'm like, what? And so I'm like, Wookie, clean. So I run down, and he's with his buddy, and he comes up, and I just kind of start selling. We've got some sample stuff. And at first he's like, why did I come? I could tell. He was like, what am I doing here? Yeah. And then I'm like, we can do custom clothes, Nike ID. We can make you stuff. And then he was kind of into it. And then that turned into a great little partnership for a year or two, where we would go over to his house before road trips and drop off. Yeah. Wookie would custom make him some clothes. We'd swipe his card for $2,000 for a couple pairs of pants and a shirt, and we'd hang out. And then I'd meet, I stayed in contact with CJ and got him Portland gear stuff as that grew. And I've known him forever, and him and his wife. And he would come to our launch parties, and I'd go to his house, play with his dog. And so then there was other athletes, and then being here next to Timbers and Thorns, we got to know all the front office and a lot of the players there. Mm-hmm. And then the Winterhawks one was a big one where, I'm from here, but I never really went to a Winterhawks game. Right. It's I knew they were here, but it was never one of the big sports teams here. And I got a random LinkedIn message. It's not hard to get in contact with people. I get a random LinkedIn message 2 years ago from the assistant GM. And he's like, hey, we've seen all the stuff you've done with the Blazers, Timbers, and Thorns. It'd be dope if you do a Portland gear collection with us. And I was like,
wow. So it kind of came to your doorstep.
Yeah, but then I'm also Winterhawks, I'm not going to do it. I was
feeling it?
No, because I was never been to a game. I looked at their website. Their product was terrible. And their team mascot was the Native American head, which was the same as the Blackhawks in Chicago. And this was mid-BLM, mid-protest. And I'm like, I'm not putting a Portland gear on anything that's culturally appropriating. Yeah. And I was like, look, super down to do something with you guys, but I'm not putting a Native American headdress on a Portland gear item. I was like, but if you guys want to do a rebrand, I'd love to help you guys with that.
Right. Did that,
and it was right place, right time, where they were actually getting a lot of heat from the city.
I can imagine.
They were getting a lot of heat from people. And was also not even their own logo. It was the Blackhawks logo in Chicago, an NHL team. So it was always wait, is that a Winterhawks jersey or a Blackhawks jersey?
So it seemed like it made sense. It was about time for them to kind of...
So it was, and they had there was new owners that just bought it during the pandemic. So it was right time, right place. So it was all right, we'll help you with this. And then they start talking, and then they call, they're like, it actually turned out we were kind of a godsend, where they had been talking about needing to do it, and they just didn't even know where to go. Yeah. And so then I tee up this big thing. We'll rebrand the entire team. We'll run the whole apparel program. It'll all be Portland gear stuff. We'll co-label everything. We'll make it relevant and cool again. And it's been a super amazing success. I mean, you can see one of the jerseys up there. We redid the logo. Yeah. Yep. The neck has got Mount Hood in it. There's a hidden WH in it. We actually gave them their own logo instead of it being with the Blackhawks. All the apparel Portland gear stuff, we redid their whole team shop, we redid their website, everything's so much cleaner now. It's a great look for us. So instead of it being a bad look with putting a P logo on a Native American head, now it's a great look that we got to redo this for the team. Now they're selling more tickets than ever, they're selling more merch than ever. The photo shoots we do with them are dope, the videos we do, and it's we have been able to make them more relevant. And that was super great. We got paid well, it was a great partnership, it worked out great, it was a total win-win for both. And so that's just, those are a dime a dozen. There's not 50 sports teams in towns that we can do that stuff with. Right. But that was just a great thing for us to align with. So I'm always looking for opportunities and things like that we can make an impact on Portland that's positive. We can make cool merch. We can get people excited. We can bring people together. And I love sports, so it's like it was a win across the board.
But it's dope how you didn't just put your logo on something. You actually created something from the ground up for them. You know, that's even more like personal for you. Yeah,
going to the first time, the first time we laid it in the ice and just being there was super cool. And then like going to the first game and like all the crowd was there and like 10% of the people are like, this logo sucks. What about the old one? But like 90% of the people are like, this is fire. This is dope. And like people not knowing it's me and me just like watching the retail experience was super cool. And then like going into the game and like, it's one of those times like my getting married, birth of my daughter, and then like that's a really bad example, but like then the Winterhawks game. But it's like being at that game and seeing them come out with like a jersey that I did, and like I remember being in Hawaii with my wife when I saw the sketch for the first time. Like it was all like it's based off of a red-tailed hawk, which is native to Oregon, and I hired this great designer to do it with me, and I got the first sketch of it on my phone, and I was sitting on the beach drawing it on my phone, and like seeing it, I could show you guys, like seeing it as an orange sketch first, and then it's like, and then to see it on jerseys, on the ice, on the merchandise, on the big screens, it was just one of the kind of those moments where you like, you open your eyes, and you're like, take a couple pictures in your head, you know, like you'll remember this one for a while. Yeah, so that was cool, but I expect that out of myself now.
Yeah, like, that's dope, man.
And how long is that for you? How long is that contract? Do you have?
It's a couple years. I mean, it's going to go on for a long time. I mean, it's been a great partnership. So it just keeps
going after the contract's over, where you guys just re-sign again, because obviously, why would they drop you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've done a great job with them. We've made it relevant. Their team shop's phenomenal now. They have way better inventory management. We run their Shopify for them.
I checked out their page before I came here, dude. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks
and no one talked about the Winterhawks before. And not saying we can take all the credit for that. Like they're a great team. People don't even know like how many titles they won, how many players they put in the NHL. Exactly. It competes with Blazer season. It's in the VMC, which is just kind of an old stadium. We don't have youth hockey programs, so people aren't like raised playing hockey and then they're like so it just kind of is a secondary thing. But when you go to a game, which I would love to bring you guys Friday night, we're doing our Pride Night tomorrow night. We got a whole booth in the corner. You guys should come.
Down, man.
Come. It's awesome, and you're like, wait, this is what I haven't been to. Like they're fighting, like you're banging on the glass, like the beers. It's awesome. It's awesome, and you're like, wait, this has been literally next to the Moda Center for like my entire life. So please come on Friday, and you'll be like, so it's just fun, and that's to me that's what I look for, is not just putting a logo on a shirt. Anyone can do that.
So how many local companies reach out to you, say, hey, let's partner up, or even like not even local, just in general? Like, do you get a lot of inquiries that say, hey, let's partner up, and like? It's a lot of me reaching out to like who I want to, because it is a lot of like. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of like.
Because how do you decide, right?
Yeah, I just use my gut and judgment on what I want to do, really. You know, because I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits that are like, help us with our T-shirts, and I'm like. I want to, but like you're better served just like going direct to a screen printer. Like I'm just going to make it more time consuming, you know, but like when I'm thinking through things and it's mid-pandemic and I'm like, all right, who's, you know, nurses, OHSU Dornbecker, that's great. What if we did something with them? So I just work through stuff like that. Yeah. And then I have the biggest Instagrams in town. So I send a message to someone and we hear back pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And then it just starts. So we were going to do something with the zoo. I mean, I went to the zoo with my daughter like 3 months ago and I was like, damn, they've done a great job with this. And I'm like, again, another something that's here. So I send a message. They're thrilled to hear from Portland Gear. They think it's awesome. And so now we work on a big partnership. So it kind of starts with either me getting inspired with something, or it's like, or you guys reach out and it's right time, right place. And it's like, yeah, we can, you know, so it's a mix of those.
Yeah, I mean, PdxBizTalk powered by Portland Gear sounds pretty good.
I like it.
I like it. Exactly, man. And speaking of like.
I gave you a free hat, so I'll take the partnership.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, here it is right here, bro. You see it live and direct. But yeah, like speaking about marketing and stuff, like your social media presence is it's on point, bro. Every single profile, super consistent, super great branding. The imaging everything looks nice, right? So like, what are some kind of key tips that are things that you kind of live by when it goes to promoting yourself on social media? What would you say?
I got a great team. You know, Sean doing videos crushes. Sean is a great videographer who on his own side has grown 1 million followers on TikTok just for fun because he can. I've got great photographers on staff. I mean, it all starts with design. So when we put good design out, it makes it easier to make it look cool in photos. Great models. I mean, Portland is an amazing city. We love it. For as much as everyone talks shit about it, like we all haven't left. There's something special about it here. We love it. So there's great spots for photos and there's great people here and there's an amazing creative scene and stuff. So we're just constantly tapping into that. So, I mean, on social, I have from day one always tried to just create what I would want.
Yep.
So on social, I would try to make an Instagram page that I would want to follow. I try to put up stories that I would find engaging. I try to make product that I would want to wear. So it all starts with that. You know,
Step one, have good taste.
Yeah, again.
Have good taste actually works out.
Yeah, I mean, take good pictures with a good camera. Yep. You know, like get people that know what they're doing, helping, you know, post at the right time of day. But it's have a good username, have a good handle, like be consistent. Simple, there's a million things, but it starts with just like having a good eye. Yeah.
And you also have another Instagram account called Oregon.nw.
So we we have a lot of stuff actually. So we've got the big Portland page that's at almost 400,000, and then the Oregon page was like, well, we've done it for Portland, we can do it for Oregon. That we started that like 5 years ago, and it's always kind of been like a secondary, tertiary thing. But yeah, we put content on that. That's got 100 something.
And all those pictures, you guys took them yourselves?
No, we're featuring people. It's a mix.
Okay,
we'll take some pictures, but it's a lot of featuring of other people and taking great photos. And they're stoked to be tagged on a 400,000 page.
Right.
So do you find those?
That's kind of like the community.
They send it to you?
Both.
Oh,
yeah, people tag us and stuff, so it gets really easy to find those ones, and people will send them to us. And you know, so another kind of tip is from day one with the Portland page. I mean, we're almost 10 years in on that page now.
Yeah,
it's always been relevant to what's going on in the city at that moment. So like, I won't even post a nighttime photo in the morning. Like
so
if it's even if it's someone else's photo, I will stay relevant to like. So it's like if it's snowing here, I find a great snow photo, and that's what I post at the right time of day. If it's a blaze, you know, so it's like I stay relevant to what's actually going on in the city, but even with the time of day. So it's like when someone views it. So there's a lot of time and strategy that goes into that type of stuff.
I never thought about that.
Yeah,
that's sick.
You know, but now, and that was also early days where it was like actually in sequential order.
Like
now it's so much is like shit's just like there, and so that matters less now. Like I could post a nighttime photo right now and people won't even see it till tomorrow. But back then when it was sequential order, that was really important to be like really real time when people are seeing stuff like, 10 minutes ago they posted about the Blazer game that just ended. That makes sense, you know. So it's like we were trying to be more real time, but we kind of ebb and flow as social goes. But yeah, it's consistency. It's voice, tone. We try to be approachable. We try to be fun. Like nothing we do is too serious. Like we make it, and that's from top down. That's from the first Instagram story you see of me or Sean or someone being, well, that's fun, that's easy. Like that's not. And then you come into the store and how the customer service is and how they treat you is symbolic of how the social feels and how your responses that you're going to get on comments from us are exclamation points and fun. It's never serious. And if we fuck up an online order, like we'll make fun of ourselves. It's just like from top to bottom, it's like we want to feel approachable and easy and fun. And I think that's worked. And when you meet our employees over there, like there are probably a lot of reflections of me. Like you'll find that a lot of the characteristics that I find important in this brand, like we all exemplify. And so I think that's important too.
And one thing I noticed about your Portland Instagram account, you don't even take the advantage to promote your own brand. Like you don't post about, come buy a shirt here.
We do a couple times a month, like we did in the early days. No,
it's just you're at something to buy and that's it. Everything else is literally just related to Portland. Not just like, come buy from me, come to my store.
Yeah, but like we'll for sure post about the Portland Gear Winterhawks thing too.
But that's different. I'm talking about just in general. Like every day you don't post like, hey, come to my store and buy something from me.
Yeah, but that's good that you feel that because we do promote ourselves, but it feels natural.
Yeah, natural. Yeah,
we do it in a way that's like it's not, hey, look at us, look at us.
On your face, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, which I could do more, but that's never been the intent of it because it's a big page. It's Portland now. They'll read through it.
Like, I don't want to just.
But when we throw up tonight, like the Portland Winterhawks teamed up with Portland Gear on Pride Night, benefiting like the Q Center. That's dope. That doesn't look like a promotion, but it's native advertising for us. Like we get viewed by people, so we use those moments more as like celebrations of the things that we're doing.
That's what's up, man. With everything that you're doing right, like. What would you say are some don'ts when it comes to marketing brand?
Maybe some fails.
Probably a lot of them, right?
Maybe some stuff that failed for you in the back in the day, and you want to advise people.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I guess I'm trying to think though. Don't be who you aren't.
Yeah.
You know, to come back to the Updrift days where I was trying to start a skate surf brand and I'd fucking fall if I skated right now. Like, like it's easy for me to talk about Portland because I do love it here. Yeah. It's easy for me to talk about product that I like because I designed it. It's easy for me to do partnerships with people when I believe in what they're doing. So it's like, don't post too much. That stuff's easy. Like, don't post shitty images. Like, don't put typos and stuff. Like, don't put 50 paragraphs and things. Like, every so often, that's good. Like, when you open up and you want to like really share something, people will read that.
Yeah.
But if every caption is like 15 paragraphs, just trying to like sell yourself, people read through that. So you got to vary content, especially now. It's got to be mixes of photos and reels and different times of day, and you can't be stale. And how people are consuming is different, so you got to pay attention to that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, stuff just changes fast. You know, like Facebook was it in 2008, was that when I was in college, going into college. And it was like, that's where you promoted brands and you built huge Facebook pages. And you said you did that. Yeah. And then it kind of evolved into like, that's kind of stale. Like this, not against you, keep doing it because Facebook still works. Facebook still works. Yeah. But then it kind of turned into like, oh, this forum-based feed thing is kind of weird. But this photo thing on Instagram is kind of fresh. Now it's like not so much about all the bullshit. It's just like this image.
So it's important to adapt then.
Yeah, and so then in the early days of Instagram, it was like whoever had an SLR camera was like the shit.
Got it. Yeah.
And then it was like,
right
and I remember Il Gander in Portland was like, every photo was just like edited and visco filtered and banger, and it was like he's growing like crazy. And then that gets commoditized when the iPhone photo gets good. And now it's like then everyone was a professional photographer like 5 years ago, and everyone's photos look dope. And now it's like, now video is hard.
That was TikTok.
So now it's short form video, which not everyone can do. And so the people that can do it, that can create short form and cut things down and make that engaging. And in 5 years, everyone will be able to do that because AI will just do it for us. But we could talk about that for an hour. I could rip on ChatGPT. But for now, it's like whoever is pushing the innovation on the reels and the content and paying attention to that, and whoever's finding that cadence and rhythm on how often and how frequent and how to make that stuff engaging, they're going to just be a few years ahead and forward. And then it's like the Facebook thing kind of, it just sunsets a little bit and your age demographic goes more. Facebook is now, 45 up. Instagram is now mid 30s, right. 30 to 40 is Instagram. And
even TikTok is getting
and now
to a
your
higher
TikTok
age too.
is 14 to 25, but now you obviously have 30-year-olds.
So yeah, you drop a lot of different collabs and releases. Do you do things by a seasonable basis, or is it just like, I want to drop this, let's get this out?
There's something almost every week.
So it's weekly.
Yes.
That's dope.
So that's
how do you fit it all in here, man?
You don't. You gotta get a bigger store. That's what we're working. Yeah, I mean, we've found that. I mean, so I talk about this a lot. I wish I could come out with one collection a month. We could spend more time on it. We could go deeper on it. But the means that we market is through social media, and people get so bored so fast. So if you're not new and fresh on almost a weekly cadence, you're irrelevant. And that's why we have stayed relevant, is we've committed to that cadence of like, we have something almost every week that comes out. I wish we didn't have to. It's a burden. You'll see what it does to inventory. You'll see what it does to design. I mean, almost every week we're launching a whole brand. Like Winterhawks was a whole logo design. All sourcing of jerseys came from a different spot. Hoodies came from a different spot. Pucks from a different spot. All different timelines.
And you did all that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And they all have to line up to come out on a Friday.
Dang.
And then you got a photo shoot with that. You got storytelling. You got to update the website with that. And then the next week there's a whole nother collection that had all different timelines and different designs. And Cherry Blossoms comes out in springs, but they had to take 3 months. So we got to get the artwork done 3 months in advance. We got to get that submitted, but we don't have to do apparel till a month before. But the jackets take 2 months, and that's just a 1 week collection. So you times that times like 50 collections a year. There's a lot of moving parts. But it's what keeps us relevant. And it makes the website look sweet. It makes the app, the social media look sweet. So it's just a line to walk on how to do that. But yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing, is looking at the 2023 calendar by week. What are the collections? Trying to do like one collaboration a month with someone. So this month it's Winterhawks. Next month we're working with the Black Creative Collective on a Valentine's collection, which would be super dope.
Good timing with that.
Yeah, so it'll be cool. Doing a big launch party at Jackie's. That'll be fun. So it's kind of like mixes of our own stuff, and not every collection or week that's dropped is like a full collection.
Right.
Like maybe next week, we just got our backpacks restocked, and we just got a new color in the backpack. So maybe next week's launch is just the backpack. Yeah. So not everything is so not everything has to be like a 6-piece collection. Yeah. But like June 1, start of Pride, deep collection. Winterhawks, big collection every year. Basketball season starts, basketball collection. Cherry Blossoms, deep collection for spring. And then some things are just like, hey, we got 3 new graphic tees this week. So there's always something new, but it doesn't always have to be huge.
I see what you're saying. So you do a lot of collabs, bro. Like, there's one thing that pops to my mind right now, and I'm looking at your shoes right now. Like, you did a collab with TEDx, right? Yep. And I'm just trying to figure out how many pairs are left because I want one, bro.
I think there's only like 200 pairs total. That wait, if everything goes as planned for this year's shoe, it'll break the internet. So
I'm excited to see that.
That one will be cool. Yeah, so that one's fun. I've known Dave Ray over at TEDx since we started. It was the first event we ever did at Portland Gear when I had my bus. He let me pull up to it. So we've helped run their sneaker release every year, and we've done the apparel and stuff. So finally we were able to sneak the P logo into the shoe this last year, and might get a little more symbol this year. So it'd be dope. But yeah, that's a dream come true. I'm a Nike kid, worked at the ES. Like, that was my dream to work at Nike. So having a P logo on a Nike product is like...
That'd be tight if you had it like right on like the little...
Oh, trust me, the top side is what I want. Yeah, but in here was okay.
Yeah,
it's a foot in the door.
It's a foot in the door.
It's a foot in the door to that.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
So, so you have a partnership, or I'm not sure you still deal with two college athletes, right? Since now they can start getting paid or whatever.
NIL
brand deals.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. So who are they? What school do they play for?
Yeah. So our first NIL deal, which stands for name, image, and likeness, which happened almost about a year ago now, where high school and collegiate players could license.
Oh, high school too.
High school just happened. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
So college happened about a year ago, that they could make money off, get endorsement deals is basically what it is. Wow. The NCAA forever said you can't make money off of your name because we own you, because we're paying for your college.
Wow.
And there was, that was like the Arian Foster stuff. That was the Reggie Bush stuff, where like they basically took his Heisman away because he was paid $500 for some autographs. Like that was illegal.
It was crazy, man.
And so now it's legal for athletes to do that. So our first NIL deal was signed with Cameron Brink, who is a female basketball player. She went to Mountainside here in Beaverton, and now she's at Stanford. She's probably the top player in the country. She's 6'3", averages like 300 blocks a game. She's awesome. They won the national championship twice. She's amazing. She's got a huge following.
And that's still active right now?
We did a collection with her. So we passed the mic to her. We let her design a Portland Gear collection. We flew down to San Francisco and shot her on campus and in the Bay, which was super cool. I wanted a reason to do like a Portland Gear photo shoot that wasn't in Portland, because everything's always here.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So we flew the team down. We went to like the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was like this cool pink tie-dye shirt that she did with her logo on it, Portland Gear. And it was about her and her story of being from Portland, but being in the Bay, playing for Stanford. And it was awesome. It opened us up to a younger demographic. A bunch of her like fangirls liked it, a bunch of her family and supporters. So that was awesome. So we did that collection. And then we just signed two high school athletes, Jackson Shellstat and Sophia Bell, who are the two top players in the state. Jackson's balling out right now, plays for Westland, going to University of Oregon next year. They beat like Bronny.
That's how Bronny
beat Bronny at Les Schwab. Like now they're now like the 15th team in the country, something unreal for an Oregon team.
That's intense.
So he's super cool. So him, and then Sophia Bell plays for Jesuit. She's also going to Oregon. They're both 5-star players going to Oregon.
How do you pick an athlete? Like, there's so many of them to pick from. How do you know which? Okay, that's
you go for the best. You go for people you have relationships with. I mean, I've known Jackson for years. He came up under Peyton Pritchard. They both went to Westland, and so I've known Peyton for a long time. Gotcha. Peyton plays for the Celtics now, and so I've known of Jackson. He's been kind of the main name. We're also a really small town when it comes to sports. That's like true. When you go to LA or Houston or something, it's like there's 100 5-stars. Yeah. That's where everyone comes from. But here it's like you can tell like Jackson's been the kid since 7th grade, even before that, and like we had Mookie Cook, now he's at AZ Compass, but he was at Jefferson. He's 5-star going to Oregon. We would have done something with him if he stayed, but he's in Arizona now. So it's pretty clear who the big names are in the people. So Sophia was the top player in her class this year as a female basketball player going to Oregon. Jackson's the top player in his class going to Oregon next year. I'm a Duck. It made sense. So basically how that happened was NIL happened for high school athletes. And like I didn't even really realize. My buddy Reggie that runs Les Schwab Invitational and a bunch of stuff, he called and he's like, hey, you should do an NIL deal with these two. He's like, it goes legal like tomorrow. I was like, oh shit, that's perfect. So like called both their parents, got them on. I'm like, hey, we should be the first ever endorsement deal for a high school athlete in the state of Oregon. So we moved super fast with it and like ripped it, got shirts, like did photos the next like 2 days, signed a contract with them, like did a bunch of stuff, and like we got a bunch of news and press because Portland Gear was the first ever endorsement deal with a high school athlete in the state of Oregon. So I look for opportunities like that are stories and moments and stuff.
And how does that deal look like, not money wise, but like do they get, obviously is it like a 1 year, 1 season? Is it like do they get clothes?
Yeah, it all varies. Yeah, it's a mix of product and money. It's in credits and all sorts of stuff, and it just depends. It can be like with Cam, she did this whole collection, so she got a portion of the sales from that. So it can be broken down in lots of different ways.
Things.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of high school athletes think they're worth a lot more than they are. Like when that NIL, even college athletes, like I remember the day the NIL stuff for college athletes went live, I probably got 60 emails. Yeah, which is awesome because I respect on one end, like I respect the hell out of these kids who are like, hey, I'm a soccer player at this school. I went to this high school. Would love to sign. I don't know if you saw, but I can do endorsement deals now. And I'm like, I'm never going to do those necessarily, but it was awesome that they're out there hustling for themselves. And so I like respect the hell out of that.
Thinking about you too.
Yeah. And then emailing a brand like us is awesome. So it's a mix of me of like knowing the athlete already, kind of knowing their following. Are they going to add value? When we post about them, are people going to be like, who's that? Or are people going to be like, that's dope. You signed Jackson? Like, that's cool. So it's a mix of all that stuff. So, I mean, a lot of this brand is just built on my gut instinct and things that I feel and get to do. I mean, I own 100% of the business. I don't have investors. I don't have anybody that I have to respond to, so I just get to do what I want, and we get to do as a team what we want, and that's like the biggest blessing there is we don't have to do anything we don't want to, and we only get to do things that we want to do.
And how long are those contracts for? Is it like a year, is it a season, or?
Yeah, I'd have to look back, but I think it was probably the basketball season.
Yeah,
and there's like certain deliverables. They've got to post a certain amount of times. I'll post a certain amount of times. We'll have some shirts.
The following year they can redo it
if I want, or I sign the next player, or we don't do any if it doesn't work, or we can just ebb and flow and do whatever.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So I just kind of want to figure out, like, with everything and all the success that you had, bro, like, what drives you to do it? Why do you keep thriving? Why do you keep going so hard, basically?
I think I think about this a lot, like I chase things that I enjoy with people that value me. Like that's kind of like been one of my big things. It's like I've done partnerships and deals with people and stuff that like question my value or redact on things later. And it's like I have no desire of doing that stuff. Yeah. But I want to do cool shit with cool people that value me. And every time that pops up, like I want to do it. Like I want a pizza spot, Wild Child Pizza in Northeast. Happened with 2 friends, super awesome, Detroit style pizza. I love it. It's great. We're gonna expand the hell out of it. It's awesome. I'm not a pizza guy, but I'm a brand guy. I'm a storyteller. Yeah. And to me, it was awesome. It was these 2 guys that I've known for a long time that trust. We value each other. We opened this pizza spot. It's crushing it. We did the branding for it. We do the merch for it. We're gonna make it cool. We tell the story of Portland Gear. We'll tie in Pizza Day with it. To me, it's just fun. Like I want to do fun stuff with people that I like, and if it makes some money, awesome. If not, it brings people together. It's cool. It's a great product, and so I just chase opportunities that excite me. Like I could do a million things, and sometimes it doesn't excite me and I don't do it. And sometimes like I'm deep for days and days and I can't get out of a train of thought on some idea, and then I try to bring in other people that I know and see, and I go 100% in, nonstop, no sleep, try to figure something out. And like I will convince every single person I know that this is the best idea ever, and then if I fall out of love with it, then I just turn the page. I don't think that it's I'm just on to the next thing. But I go 100% in, and I will exhaust every single option possible, and I will figure out, and I'll sell it to everyone that I know in my mind, and I'll tell it, and I want people to give me feedback. And then if I, weeks later, months later, I'm still like can't stop thinking about it, I chase it harder. If I lose interest in it, I'm like, okay, on to the next thing. I'll find a million more things that I find interesting.
That's what's
and so it's just a mix of that, and those things change, like I'll get an opportunity like the Winterhawks thing, and now I'm like really enjoying sports branding.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, so maybe I go do that for a bigger team, or what happens when we get an MLB team, or what happens when like now I enjoy it. So now it just provides a different opportunity for me to do stuff. So everything is a layering. Everything layers on top of each other, and every experience that you have, you start with detailing. Now you're doing a podcast. The podcast will turn into something. Then you'll have a media company that supports your business. Like everything compounds.
Right.
And so now I look at the skill sets and the relationships that I have now. I can do so much more than I could 5 years ago. So I look at it like I got to keep doing things, because in 5 more years I'll be able to do 5 more years worth of stuff that I couldn't do right now.
So you like to keep something on your plate a lot of the times, right?
Yeah, I get bored.
Yeah, you don't want to.
So I want to keep doing things that inspire me and that are innovative. And so I chase inspiration, I chase innovation, I chase things that sound interesting.
Yep, that's very relatable, I'd say, bro. So how do you stay, like when you're staying busy, like you're a family guy, right? So how do you balance that that staying busy and like keeping grinding, but like making time for the things that you care about
I have a beautiful, amazing wife. She owns her own interior design business. I've got a daughter. I've got another kid coming in July, which is amazing. We just have a great We just have a great support system. I mean, all of our family's here in town. We've got great care and people, and I get off at 4:30. I get home, and 4:30 to 7 is dad time, and then she goes to bed, and weekends are dad time, and mornings are dad time. And so I when she goes down at 7, then I'm back on the computer for 3 or 4 hours at night, but I love that. So it's like I love doing it. I never get mad at myself for like working, because I love it so much. But I do definitely I do need to remind myself how important the time with the kids is and wife and stuff. And so it is very hard to turn off work.
I bet.
But it is very important to.
It wasn't like that in the beginning, though, right? You were just hustling every day, like nonstop.
Yeah, God was very, very good to me. I met my wife the week I started Portland Gear.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So she's been with me we met through mutual friends at an event. I started Portland Gear 4 days later. I went to her 21st birthday, fell in love. We got married 3 years later. She's been with me every single step of the way. So that's just been a huge blessing, just to have someone in my corner that, as things have come and gone, it's like there's been a consistency with her that's
and also
been
understands it too. It's not like she doesn't understand, like, oh, why you're working so much? I need you to spend time with me.
And the best part is she could care less.
I love it. That's
about
dope.
all this stuff,
That's
which
dope.
I love. It's like I think I'm like, hey, we got 3rd row seats to the Blazers, let's go. And she's like, okay,
that's nice.
whatever. I'm like, do you want anything? She's like, no.
That's cool.
Okay,
that's dope.
Because you don't have to worry about her like feeling starstruck about it.
Not even. And to be honest with you, she's been my secret sauce for years. Like, going to CJ's house and his wife Elise and Noelle coming, and then like Noelle makes me more approachable and normal, and then she talks to the wives, and then she's not starstruck, she doesn't care, and it's just like she's been a secret sauce for me forever without knowing or caring. It's just like she makes me, Josh Hart came over to my house for dinner a couple months ago, brings his wife, they're just talking, drinking wine, hanging out. Josh and I are just shooting the shit about watches or something, and it's like we are just, I don't know, it's like
make a good team.
We're a great team.
Yeah. So doing all your stuff you do, like every week you release something new, you have all these collaborations with all this stuff, like then you're opening a new store. So how do you do all that? And then, okay, I found a storefront, which is Washington Square Mall. So how do you do that? You just have to...
You just do it?
You
have a team?
Yeah. So, I mean, do you hire somebody for the store part, or do you have somebody on hand that, hey, I need you to handle this for a little bit?
And... when you really boil things down, it's getting to a lease with them. So it was months of that and working through that. And so I take on that stuff, and that's attorney's review and me back and forth and me knowing what I want. And, that spot opened up, and it was like, I'd viewed a ton of spots, and it was like, it's the spot right next to the food court. It's currently a Lush. It's 800 square feet. It's perfect. It's white, everything. So to me, it's waiting for the right time, right place. So that opportunity came, and it was like, yes. I viewed other spots and they were no's, and this one came and it's like, yes. So then it goes to a lease. So we get a lease signed, great. And then there's a move-in date, great. So then you start working backwards. All right, what's the store need to look like? How are we going to build it out? Who's going to build it out? So then I go through and okay, Todd does the stuff for the store. Great, let me call Todd. Cool. Todd, what's it going to cost for you to do a floor plan for me? Can you help me with fixturing? Great. So really what it is it's hiring, it's finding people that are experts in their own thing.
Right.
I am absolutely useless with a screwdriver. Useless. This was made from Home Depot when we first opened. I had to have someone come in and drill it into the concrete because I didn't even have a drill. Useless. But Todd is amazing at this type of stuff. And Todd's got a wood shop, and Todd can bend metal, and Todd does fixturing, and Todd builds out restaurants. So Todd will do my build out. And that's great. And I don't have to think about it. Now, he'll show me things that he comes up with, and it's not me having to think of everything. And I'm stoked on it. Yeah. And then Todd will build it out. And then our team comes in, and we'll fill it with merchandise that we already have. And we're 2 months out, so we can start planning that. And we hire a retail manager, and we up our team, and we move stuff. And so these aren't huge lifts, especially as we've done them a few times. But it helps when you have a team and when you outsource things to people who are better than you at doing things.
Yeah, because I notice people like from personal, like people that I know in the past, like they're cheap enough to just I'll do it myself. But then it like elongates the process of getting everything correct.
And I've tried to do it myself forever, and I have done it myself forever. Yeah. And you just get to a point where you're like, it's better for someone else to do it. Yeah. But that's come with success, and that's come with I have a budget now. I didn't have that in the early days. Like we had $50. We bought those from Home Depot. We sanded them ourselves. Like now it's like, hey, that's $2,000 to install. It's like, great, it's worth it. It's going to make us more money. It's better for you to do it and just bring it in. Yeah. But I've grown into that. That's a layering thing, And so now at Washington Square, I know what we're going to do in sales. I know the inventory we need. I know that it's going to cost me X amount to build it out, and I know I need to spend that in order to make that money later. Gotcha. So it's like it's better for me to do it than me to pretend that I'm going to build out a store, because it's also going to look like shit if I do it.
When do you open that store?
April 15th.
Are you going to have any crazy store opening?
We'll do something fun.
I'll be there.
Yeah, bro.
Please come.
We'll
you guys should do a live podcast from there.
Let's pull it up. We can do another episode there, man. Yeah, man. So I guess we're getting close to closing out, but is there any kind of closing advice that you would leave for a young entrepreneur, whether that be they're starting a clothing brand or just in business in general?
Just do something. Just like, not the cliche with Nike, but it is like, just do it. Like everything is layering. So me doing my first t-shirt in high school and college, I would have never been doing what I'm doing now if I didn't do that first shirt. Didn't make me money, but I learned a ton from it. So you got to start with something. Are you guys going to become billionaires on this podcast? I hope so. Yeah. Maybe not, maybe, but you're at least doing it, and it's going to grow you to give you a chance to make money. And then it's going to say, maybe 2 years from now, you guys are like, I hate podcasts, but I learned that I love this. Now you're better positioned for that. Or you're like, we're crushing podcasting. Let's go be the biggest podcasting conglomerate in Portland. Great. Yeah, right. But you can't do that unless you started.
Exactly.
And that started with your first podcast that you did. Yeah. And then you edited it, and the edit probably kind of sucked. And then your second one was kind of a little better, and your third one's a little better, and your fourth one's a little better.
Better and better.
And so it's like, but that started with you guys just saying, like, let's just start with one. Yeah. Let's print one t-shirt. Let's detail one car. Let's make one song. And then it's like, then you get better at it, and then you get better, and then you can grow a team. And so it's like, just start. So whether it's, I don't care if you love crocheting bunnies, just crochet a bunny.
Do that shit good.
Like, make it. Go to Saturday Market, sell it. If people like it, crochet 2 bunnies and sell 2 of them, and then Find someone that can crochet bunnies with you and then make 10 of them. It's just like start with something. And that's what's great about this city is it's so weird and eclectic. It's like you can crochet bunnies and people will think that's cool. And someone will come support you. And you could do a night market and someone will think it's awesome because people love bunnies. So there is always a market for something. There is always someone that will support you. If you're authentic, if you're human, if you're yourself, people will want to support you. You'll find the people that are interested in what you're doing, but you just have to start with doing something. You got to do something.
You have to do it.
Just one thing, just to start, you know? People are going to be listening to this podcast, interested in starting a business. I'm looking at you. Now's when I'm looking at you. It's that voice in your head that's like the thing that you've always loved that you've maybe denied to yourself because it wasn't culturally cool or it wasn't what your friends thought was cool. Like I was the t-shirt kid in college. It's not the sexiest title for a kid. I was the t-shirt guy, but I loved it. I loved making shirts, and look what it did for me now. And so it's like, I don't care if you're the comic book guy or the crochet bunny guy or the podcast guy, like just be it because eventually people will be jealous that you're the one that did the podcast. Like there's probably been 100 people that have wanted to do a Portland podcast on business. You did it now. Now all those people are going to watch your podcast and say, damn, I should have done that. You should have done it. Right? You should have done it. But now these guys did, and they're going to do it better than you. So it's like, it's just doing it and starting it is so important. And the rest will fall into place. And you either learn that you love it, you learn that you don't like it, but you take everything that you learned and you do the next thing better.
At least you did it,
And at least you did it. And at least you got the practice of doing it.
Yeah, and one more thing before we leave. I saw that you were voted 12th. Was it 12th most admired brand in Portland?
Yeah.
And that's not even by, like, I saw that was voted by CEOs. It was not just anybody's.
Yeah, they send that survey out to 500 CEOs in the area, and it's voted on them. So that's a huge thing.
Did you even know you were, like, dominated, or did you just...
Yeah, we were 3 years ago, we were, like, 22. Then we were like 16, and now this year we were 12, and that circles right back to like that consumer confidence. Like when everyone was talking shit on Portland, we were being positive. That shows. When we were, we stayed the course. We're pro Portland all the time. Those CEOs and people are like, yo, Portlanders, they're staying relevant. Like they're putting Portland on the map. Like they're doing their job. They're trying to do that, and so it's cool to feel that. Because we know we work hard, we know we love the city, and we know we sell stuff and people like our stuff, but it's cool to get like kind of that admiration from other people as well. It feels good.
So cool. Heck yeah, man. We appreciate you coming on the podcast. Well, we came to you.
Yeah, we came to your location.
I appreciate you guys coming to me.
We're at Portland Gear. We're down here in Northwest Portland, man. And, we got our boy Marcus right here. If you want to come down and support the shop, there is another shop coming up. It's at Washington Square,
Washington Square in April, yeah. This one's down on 19th and Burnside here next to Providence Park where the Timbers play. You can shop online portlandgear.com. We've got a great app experience. Yeah, we're doing a big... we're moving our warehouse and office at the end of February. Right. So we're doing a huge move-in sale, which is going to be sick. It'll be a big warehouse moving out sale, celebration of us being in this area. So if you want to come to that, it's the last weekend in February.
Cool. Yeah, make sure you watch for that, man. Follow at Portland on Instagram as well as at Portland Gear.
Yes, sir.
Portland Gear is it underscore Gear?
At Portland Gear. No underscores.
Yeah.
Avoid the underscores.
He knows how to
avoid the underscores.
He knows how to secure those profiles, boy. Yeah, but thank you guys for watching, man. Make sure y'all subscribe and comment, man. My boy Johnny had a good time up in here, bro. I did as well, and we appreciate everybody who tuned in, man. Hopefully you learned something. And you know what it is, Portland Business Podcast, PDX Biz Talk. Make sure y'all tune in next time. We'll catch you.